Now that you've chosen your artwork, in fact, all right, I want you to draw 3 maps based on the artwork that you found. We are now in part 2 of getting all the stuff done for the beast. Let's say, for example, you've chosen the Mona Lisa. Basically, I'm asking you the question, where is your artwork from? So you're going to show me 3 maps. So the first map is going to be a map of the world, and you show me where the artwork is from. The second map is a closer view of where your artwork is from in the modern world. And then the third map is the same map as the second map, but it's with the boundaries of when your artwork was created. So, the world map, you're going to identify on a map of the world where your chosen artwork is from. So, here's a good example right here. And you are also going to include a photograph of your artwork. So, when I look at it, I can say, oh, the mask of Tutankhamun, yes, I can see that it comes from Egypt. So, these are just some student examples. All right. This one comes from Italy. This one is from the Mesoamerica area, Mexico. All right, so the regional map is you're going to zoom in, and I would kind of prefer that you zoom into the continent or, like something of that nature. That's what I'm going to call it, the regional map. If your artwork is from Europe, your regional map is going to be a map of Europe. If your artwork is from Mesoamerica, your regional map is going to be of Mesoamerica. If your artwork is from the Middle East, it'll be in that area. If it's from Japan, it'll be that with a little bit of Asia in it. Let's see, if it's from Africa, you can zoom into a part of Africa or you can do the whole continent of Africa. That's fine either way. If it's from China, you'll focus on China and the area around it. If it's from the United States, you'll focus on the US and the area around it. So here's some examples of regional maps, the present day. And then the third map is the same regional map, but when your artwork was created. It'll have different borders. So here's an example. A student did the regional map with the current borders and then with the borders then. You can see that the area is a little bit different, the area where it was from. It was a different country then. Here are some of the older. So France in 1888 looks different than France now. All right, so I have some rules for the maps. The first is limit your colors. I suggest that you just limit it to like 3 colors: land, water, and then the location of where it was from. And here is an example on the left where they do use no colors at all, and it's confusing. And then on the right, they use too many colors, and it's confusing. So limit your colors. The student on the right used extra colors, but that's okay. It turned out to be quite nice. He kept within green and browns and yellows for everything else, and then he used red for the location. I'm fine with that too. Maps drawn on lined paper are not going to be accepted. So use copy paper, use art paper, but do not use lined notebook paper. And use uppercase letters only. It just looks nicer. It looks more professional. Color neatly. Don't scribble. These maps are going to take time. To color neatly, it takes time. So do not scribble. It looks horrible. And keep it simple. You don't have to label everything. Look at the map on the right. Everything is labeled. That's confusing for me to look at. So just label the big things or the important things. You don't have to label everything. Look how confusing this one gets. They labeled everything, and I can't even tell where it's from. I can see the red, but I don't know which of those names applies to the red mark. Be bold. The one on the left It's so easy to see, right? Use a marker. The one on the right, I can't see. It's so difficult to see. It's so lightly drawn. All right, rule number 6 is check your map for accuracy. So on this one right here, this is a French painting, but the student colored it in for England. This is a common issue with students drawing these maps. Students will often just color in the whole background with this blue. So this indicates that Russia is totally underwater. So the solution for this is just to crop it. If the student would have just cropped it, we'd have a perfect map. All right, check your maps for accuracy. Europe, Russia, and Africa. All right, Africa doesn't look like that. Europe doesn't look like that. Russia doesn't look like that. In fact, all of this is Russia. This is a poorly drawn map. All right, check your map for accuracy. What's wrong with this map? Can anybody see what's wrong? Something is labeled wrong. That's right. There are workers from Iran. Iran is over here somewhere. All right, and actually right around here, and they've labeled India as Iran. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about how to photograph your maps. I want you to use soft diffused lighting. Photographers create soft diffused lighting by buying this really expensive photographic equipment, but you don't have to do that. All you need is a window. So if you can take your maps and put them up either on the wall next to the window or on a flat surface next to the window and photograph it like the person is doing in this picture, this is how you should be photographing your maps. There's another way you can do this. All right. Instead of doing this indoors, we can do this outdoors. And if you're going to do this outdoors, do this in the shade. So in the shade, set up like a miniature photo studio. It can be either on a table that you have outside, or you can set up an igloo like is in this photograph right here. And this shows you the setup that this person has for photographing their artwork. You can use the same thing for your maps. But have a board or a flat surface that you can put the maps on, and then have it elevated. And this helps you when you actually photograph the artwork. The closer that you can have your maps to eye level, the better. Take a look at your photographs before they turn them in. Don't turn in anything in that is this dark. If you are photographing inside, this is what I get a lot of from my students. They'll be photographing in their bedroom or in the living room or in the dining room, and the light is on the ceiling, and they put the artwork or the maps right below the light, and then they lean over and take a photograph of it. Well, you can see in these two photos, you can see the shadow of the person taking the photograph. All right, so don't do this. This is an unprofessional photograph. Let me talk about framing for a second. So make sure your camera is angled correctly. So if your map is vertical or your artwork is vertical, then hold your camera vertically. If your map is horizontal, hold your camera horizontally. And imagine the center of your map or the center of the paper. And then imagine where the center of the lens is on your camera and have that directly above the center of your map. And that'll keep you from getting keystoning on your photograph. This is what keystoning is when the outside edges of the paper or the artwork are not parallel to the outside edges of your photo. So try not to get this keystoning effect by having your camera at an angle. When your camera is not at an angle, that's when you have these parallel lines on the side, and that's a good thing. Also, when you take the picture, don't stand too far away from the picture. Like, get closer to the photo to fill up the space. And if you look at the photograph on the left, look how much extra space there is around the picture. So I don't want to see all this extra space around it. Also, don't use the zoom feature to zoom in on the picture. When you use the zoom feature, it degrades the quality of the photo. You get it to be blurry and pixelated. So just move the camera closer to the artwork until it fills up the entire picture. All right, now editing. You're going to crop your map so that I only see the map and not the paper that is around it. So here's a photograph of the map before it's been cropped, and you can see how it looks after it's been cropped. Also, notice we have a little bit of keystoning right here, but once you crop it, then you can get rid of any keystoning that you have in your picture. All right, now let me show you how to turn in your assignment. One thing is, before we get to this stage, I want you to be aware of the settings on your camera for the photograph. Do not use HEIC, HEVC setting on your camera. This type of photograph just doesn't work. I have a hard time uploading it. I have a hard time using it. I have a hard time copying it. It's just a very inefficient way of the photograph. So make sure that you're using JPEG or PNG as your setting. All right, now there's instructions in D2L. These are the same instructions that I'm giving you right now. So you can read this along. It's saying the same thing that I am. And on your, here's an example provided in D2L of what your artwork or what your assignment is going to look like. So it'll be 3 pages. You're going to have your world map. You're going to have your regional map, the present day, and then you're going to have your regional map at the date the artwork was created. All these images will be cropped. The first image right here, it's just encouraging you to crop your photos. But this is what your assignment is going to look like when you turn it in. I'm giving you a template. So all you have to do is just download the template and you just change out these blue boxes for your map. If you turn this assignment in on time with no mistakes, you get 100. All right, let's say you turn it on time and there's lots of mistakes that I need to make corrections. I'm going to make corrections on it, and I will give it a 50. If you see that you got a 50 and you know that you turned it in on time, so go and look at my corrections. And then if you show me that you have seen my corrections, you can do a selfie with the corrections. You can do a thumbs up with the corrections. You can do a screenshot of the corrections, or you can just say, hey, send me a message, Mr. Reese, I've seen the needed corrections. All right, and then I will change the grade to 100. Does that make sense? If you turn it in late with no mistakes, I'm going to give it a 50. If you turn it in late with mistakes, it's going to be a 0.01, and I'm going to give it the corrections. Same thing. If you show me that you've seen the corrections, I'll bump it up to a 50. And then if you don't turn it in, obviously it's a 0. Once again, finally, what do you mean by late? You have a 23-hour grace period after it's due. So beginning with less than an hour late up to 23 hours late, you have that extra time to turn it in, and I will accept it as on time. Once it says 1 day late, I count it late. Okay, if you see an 11.11, that is the code for see me. There's something really wrong with this, and I need to talk to you and explain it. It's too much to type it in for the corrections. All right, so I'll need to. And then if you make changes and turn it back in and it's still a problem, it's a 12 by 12, that's a code that you need to see me, and so on. So, but once you get it fixed, it'll be 100 or 50 or whatever it is. All right. All right. That is it for. Are there any questions about this assignment?